Can you tell me your name and tell me about some of your life experiences?
Sure. My name is Michael, and uh, I grew up in a very physically and emotionally aggressive environment, and I grew up without a family, so I was abused and then basically abandoned. And so I had, a couple different things going on with me psychologically, and it's been a lifelong journey of anxiety, uncontrollable anxiety. Um,
What are some of the approaches that you took to try to get over that anxiety?
So I took to the internet a long time ago, and I tried to figure out, just since I was a kid, it's been, therapy, and that never really did much for me. It kind of just stirred emotions up, and then, all right, your time's up, and go home. And so I was always looking for more advanced things that could help. So I started doing EMDR therapy, the rapid eye movement therapy, which is supposed to be really effective for PTSD. That helped, but it still wasn't nearly enough for me. So I got into neurofeedback, and I did over 100 sessions of neurofeedback, over 100 hours, which helped. But then it wore off. I could tell oh, I need more of that, and it's just really time consuming, expensive. And basically I got tired of living my life of being controlled by my anxiety and not being able to be myself. So I did try also ketamine therapy, which gave me a glimpse of what it could feel like without being overwhelmed and controlled by my anxiety, and basically fight or flight or freeze, right? A lot of my stuff was freezing up, and I didn't know, because everything with PTSD is typically fight or flight. So, just freezing in my life of things of, interpersonal relationships or conflicts I would avoid, approaching people, befriending people, maybe putting myself out there for career opportunities, didn't want to deal with the interview process. So that feeling would get taken away from ketamine therapy, but it would come back. So I wanted to find something permanent or more permanent. And so, I dug deeper into the internet, and that's when I found out about the SGB blocks.
Okay, and what made you think that stellate ganglion block might be a good match for the kinds of symptoms that you were having?
Basically, when I was digging into it, the symptoms that were listed on what that treats, I was like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And I didn't really know what else to try besides that. It made sense to me. If my nerves are overreactive and they just stay like that, I was like, well, if you give them a rest, maybe it will take away all my symptoms. And it did.
How long ago was your first stellate ganglion block?
It was about 2 months ago, and I would say it took a couple weeks to really start maybe feeling it, or I felt the effects right away, but being able to decipher hey, I'm different, I can feel a difference in my day-to-day.
Can you describe specific aspects of your life that you feel are different, the way that you interact with people or your environment since the procedure was done?
Yeah, so going back to the freezing stuff, where I'm thinking specifically now about work stuff, where I have issues with certain managers, where I would normally kind of get walked over and wouldn't approach them and voice my concerns. Not in an aggressive way, but hey, that's wrong, I'm gonna let you know. And I would never do that. I always would avoid it. Kind of like, if I did try to talk to him, I'd be kind of like, hey, you know, and I'm not like that anymore. I'm more confident when hey, that's wrong, I'm gonna talk to you and resolve it. And, you know, with clients, I do sales. So with clients, like, I don't know if I wanna call them again. It's like, no, I'm here to help them. I'm gonna call them. I'm not gonna avoid that. But you know, even specifically with approaching, you know, women that I find attractive, normally I would freeze up and just come up with every excuse in my head why I shouldn't talk to them. But that's like, it's just like washed away. And I'm like, oh, I like that girl. I'm gonna talk to her. I'm gonna make friends with her. And that's like profound for me because I avoided that kind of stuff my whole life. So I just thought that was my personality. But now I know that those feelings or that anxiety and that freezing up is gone. I know it's from getting the SGB.
How was the experience of getting the injections for you?
Well, luckily my doctor is very skilled at what he does, and it was basically painless. You know, just get over the fact that, yeah, a needle's gonna go in your neck, right? But if you're going to a skilled doctor, it's no biggie. And the effects, you know, you're gonna probably get like some droopy eye and maybe a little bit in your throat, a little bit closed up for a little bit, right? It's anesthetic, so but you know, lasts a couple hours. But I woke up in the morning totally fine, didn't feel any effects at all of the block.
Thank you for sharing your experiences, Michael.